listen to it, it's still going strong.
It may look that way, but in reality, it's barely hanging on.
Guess I still have a lot to learn.
What do you want to know?
For starters, how do we cross these plains?
Come on now, that's easy. The same way you get anywhere. Pick a direction and start walking. Left, your left, right.
Hello there, and welcome to episode 78 of the Video Game Podcast, PlayStation Pals. I'm your host, Nick, and I'm joined by the Raymond to my Barbara, John. Now, John, I got a little bit of a thing we forgot about last year that I want to talk about.
What did we forget?
In our 2023 wrap-up, and I'm going to relate this to 2024, so don't worry.
You better.
We forgot to mention about the controversy surrounding Hogwarts Legacy being a thing.
Oh, yes, that was a little bit of a news story for a minute.
Yeah. So if you remember, before the game came out, J.K. Rowling, the writer and creator of the Harry Potter series, is publicly anti-trans, using her platform and wealth to promote, anti-trans policies. With this being said, a certain gaming subreddit brought this up with an extreme take. If you buy this game, you are a transphobe.
Oh,
and
man. I'm a transphobe. Oh, man.
So we have to deal this with a lot of artists and their art. I know Kanye West is another one where we have to decide, do we want to listen to the music of a terrible person? Yep. Not saying that it's one-to-one with J.K. Rowling's take, but, that's something we all have to deal with when we buy anything or consume anything or music, video games, whatever it is. A lot of anti-sentiment about Bobby Kotick just came out, so I wouldn't blame anyone for not buying Activision Blizzard games, But a lot of games deal with controversy. One of my favorite videos of 2023 was Video Games Donkey's video about Hogwarts Legacy, where he kept going from game to game to game to game to game because each one was controversial in some kind of way. Mm-hmm. He goes through like 20 games in that video, and it's the right take. It's very hard to decide what games to play and what not to play, and that's a very personal decision to people when they make decisions, and you have to make these decisions best for you. But the controversy here is because this subreddit turned internet warrior. They started causing reviews to accompany opinion pieces, reviews straight up bringing it up in the review, including Wired giving it a 1 out of 10 because they just couldn't. They're just not a game. They couldn't play the game without all the backstory of J.K. Rowling. And then this also led to harassment campaigns that caused other subreddits to ban the topic entirely. Streamers bullied if they streamed it, Girlfriend Reviews being the most famous one. And then the subreddit was weaponizing spoilers of the game. And we talked about this when it all happened, that, this sucks. Like, again, don't spread hate on the internet because other people like something that you don't like for whatever reason. A lot of people worked on Hogwarts Legacy. A lot of them probably pro-trans or, indecisive or whatever. But, we just shouldn't, let one creator, spread hate. It's fine if you don't play it, but don't hate on other people for purchasing it or playing it, including myself and John. And why am I bringing this up now? Because we're coming up on another controversial game that is re-releasing in 2024, and that's The Last of Us Part 2. It was also featured in that Video Game Donkey video as being a controversial game. So just kind of as this game comes out, let's, let people play it if they want to, if they like it or don't like it. If you hate it, just leave it alone and walk away. I don't know. I'm kind of long ranting here, John. Mm-hmm. What do you got to say on this?
Yeah, it's baby behavior. I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward. I mean, if you have a problem with somebody, then express it in a adult, grown-up manner, and you can do what you want, but try not to, rope other people in, and then and if they don't agree with you, think that they're transphobic or homophobic or
generalize
or whatever the case is. I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit, Nick. You're not if you boycott this game or write a 1 out of 10 article, giving the game that score, whatever the case, you're not affecting J.K. Rowling. She is a billionaire. She will stay a billionaire. She will be fine. You're affecting the people who made the game, whose bonuses and resumes rely on the reception of these things. So grow the fuck up and don't, focus on so much negativity. I mean, in the year of our Lord and Savior 2024, you can't be a ethical consumer in the grand scheme of things. I mean, you can try, but anything made in China, there's confirmed concentration camps of Uyghur people out there. If you buy something owned, if you buy, who did Saudi Arabia buy? Who makes Metal Slug? SNK.
Yes.
If you buy any SNK property, you're giving 100% of that money to the Saudi royal, family who publicly executed a journalism. These are more serious, egregious things of proof of bona fide things that have actually happened. If we need to direct our energy towards something, let's make sure it's maybe a little bit more, something you can touch and feel and actually make a change on. And I don't want to go on a long rant here either, but yeah, I think with the upcoming Last of Us Part 2, if you disagree with the story, if you for some reason, like the weirdest thing on the internet to me right now is people hating Neil Druckmann. Out of all people, like Neil Druckmann, if you can't stand that guy, don't go out of the way to spoil it for random people you've never met. Just don't fucking buy the game then and go play something else. It's not that hard.
Right. And direct your hate towards something positive, like whether it's donating to, in J.K. Rowling's case, some kind of trans support group of some kind. Just do put positive energy into the world. Don't hate on people, because again, you mentioned that J.K. Rowling will not be financially affected by this. It did not affect the sales of Harry Potter one bit. It's one of the best-selling games of 2023. Mm-hmm. And same with The Last of Us 2. You can direct all the hate you want to Neil Druckmann, but he's having one hell of the last few years, outside of The Last of Us multiplayer project being canceled. He became co-president of Naughty Dog. Mm-hmm. He has a very successful television show on his credits. And, it's just spend your time doing something else. Yeah. Get off the internet for a bit, because I always got to point out that these are small internet communities. Most people don't even know these things are happening. Most of the comments when Girlfriend Review talked about being harassed by all the anti-Hogwarts Legacy people, all the comments were like, I didn't even know this happened. Right. So it's just kind of like we're looking forward to 2024. Let's kind of just get rid of the negativity and just let it go.
It'll be hilarious when Hogwarts Legacy 2 comes out, just for those same people to be like, come on, guys, we're going to boycott this one. It's like, all right, man. They will. It's that Streisand effect. You're just bringing more attention to it and making, it's silly baby behavior.
Right, and The Last of Us Part 2 will do the same. I'm sure they're already all out in full force, just trying to,
they are.
Take the game down.
It's a guilty pleasure of mine to every once in a while scroll that subreddit. And, I don't know why I do it, but it's there's some disturbed people over there.
Yeah, sometimes like I said, it's just get off the internet, and you'll feel healthier. Even if you're not just scrolling these negative subreddits, just get off the internet.
Well, and these people that have made these comments, that have made it such an issue, I mean, they are the stereotypical people you think of when you think of internet trolls. I'm pretty sure. I don't have proof of that, of course, but the Reset Era people and 4chan people, and different strokes for different folks. You enjoy what you enjoy, but personally, if I see people that behave that way, I just don't need them in my life.
No. So, same here. Yeah. Same here.
Let's bring this podcast back up, man.
Yeah, let's get into the show, because we have a packed show with you. Packed show for you, including a 2024 outlook. We got hands on a PlayStation Portal.
Hey.
Woo! And, of course, our video game Battle Royale is returning, so let's get to how the show works. John and I both bring up to 3 things to talk about. It can be video games we're playing. It can be a news item. It can be a topic. It can be an email to PlayStationPalsPod@gmail.com, a Twitter DM at PSPalsPod, or a comment on our YouTube page at PlayStation Pals. Any of those things, we feel like bringing it. And the first thing we're going to talk about is our most anticipated games of 2024.
Hell yeah.
John, please tell me Atomic Heart is not on your list this year, or a game like it.
No. I'm feeling pretty good about my list this year. I will maintain that I was trying to be spicy. I was trying to be different, and Spider-Man 2 seemed too safe. But I will take the pummeling as it is kind of deserved. But no Atomic Heart from me.
All right, but is for if it comes to PlayStation Plus Extra, will you play Atomic Heart?
I think it already did.
Did it? No, it did not. No way.
It didn't? Okay.
No, I don't
might
think
have just been Game Pass. No, I'm not going to play it.
Okay.
No, dude, if we had a section today about the plates that John is spinning right now, I'm spinning 7 or 8 really nice plates, and I want to make sure those plates are taken care of first.
Yeah.
So
well, another tease is I dangled Diablo 4 in front of him, and he was like, "No,
I can't
I'm full.
now.
I'm full.
I can't.
Too much."
Yeah, I mean, I did. I should be a little bit more self-controlled, but with the Portal came access to a couple other games. I had. We don't need to get into it now, but no.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's kick things off, John. What's your first game that you want to bring of your most anticipated games of 2024? What do you got?
Sure. So I'm going to start off one with that I think if you included this game on a 2024 list, anybody who knows me would know that it's on it. It's a little bit of an asterisk because it's technically only coming to early access confirmed so far, but that, of course, is from Supergiant Games, the sequel to one of my favorite games of all time, Hades 2. Can't fucking wait, dude. I mean, we don't know a lot about this game yet. We're just going off of basically the Game Awards trailer from 2 years ago. Or not 2 years ago, but not this one, but the one before.
Yeah.
And what can I say, man? I mean, this could literally just be the same bones and everything that Hades was, with just a new character and some new weapons and stuff. And I'm happy to be there. But knowing Supergiant, as creative as they are, I would expect to see a decent amount of changes in different ways that they're able to, manipulate the formula or whatever it is they do to make it just as engaging and, make it not feel like it is just like some tacked on DLC, because this is a little bit of a departure for them. This is their first true sequel. They're usually just kind of a team, I think, that oozes with creativity, and they just kind of find an idea and roll with it, whether it's something, a little bit slower and more noir and kind of gritty like Transistor, or like a fucking weird basketball type game that this, honestly, I never played it with Pyre, but I have full confidence that Hades 2 is going to meet my expectations, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it.
Yeah, they
can't wait.
They struck gold with Hades for sure. That's got to be by far their most best-selling game.
Yeah, I mean, the best-selling Game of the Year nominations. I think it was only second to The Last of Us 2 that year for most Game of the Year wins, which is an incredible feat for an indie game. That was the same year that Final Fantasy VII Remake released, and for it to weed its way through the crowds and emerge on the other side as like, oh yeah, this is one of the best games of the year, and yeah, it's only $25 or $30 or whatever it was when it came out. It just really, really shows what I love about indie games and things like that. I would expect it to hit consoles, honestly, in 2025. Mm-hmm. I think the first Hades was in early access for about a year. But that's fine. I mean, if I really, really, really am jonesing, I mean, I could, get the early access. I don't think I'm going to do that, though. I'd rather just wait for the full-on release. But I was talking to my brother-in-law over the week, and he's a big fan of it as well. And he was mentioning that he really enjoyed the early access experience with the first one, because he got to see the game change. He got to see them, like, tweak things and add things and take things away and have it come out to be the product that we all know and love. That'll be a game I take the day off of work. I just play it from sun up to sundown, because it's crack to me.
Yeah, it is still in our top 10 PS5 games to recommend.
Oh, it'll stay there.
Do you remember where it was in our overall list?
4?
Was it 4? Wow.
I think so. Dude, we had it at 2. And then I was like, I don't know, man. That seems crazy.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head.
And I think we switched it with
Anyway,
Last
it's
of
in our
Us.
top 50 games of all time as well.
I think it's I know it's top 10 for sure.
Okay, well, there you go. And we did have one listener write in with their 3 games. Pal of the show, Nick, also had Hades 2, so that is a
Smart kid.
boondoggle for him.
Smart kid. And he's a PC boy, so I'll be really talking to him about his experience and stuff, even if I'm not playing it. So.
Sure.
Cool.
All right. My first most anticipated game of 2024 is not a shocker. It is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth from Creative Business Unit 1 and Square Enix. It has a release date, which is even better. It's 2 months away, February 29th, 2024. It's coming.
Leap day.
What else needs to be said? It's a sequel to a reimagining of one of my favorite games of all time, Final Fantasy VII. It brings in more characters, more locations. It looks wonderful. We talked about the trailer that was at the last Sony State of Play, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah, I didn't put this on my list specifically because I knew it was going to be on yours, and I didn't want to. I wanted more games to talk about, but I did write it down as an honorable mention. But one of the things that I'm personally excited for, and as I mentioned on the show, I don't have the original Final Fantasy nostalgia that a lot of people have. But if I were to criticize remake in any way, which there's not a lot of ways to do it, but sometimes it felt a little hallway-y, right? Where you're kind of going from point to point. You would have some dialogue and narrative that would happen, and then you kind of feel like you're just going from this point to that point. And with the introduction of the open world, I'm excited to see how they approach that. And just a different way, they showed in the trailer you can fly a chocobo, right? So it's really, really going to be opened. And I'm excited to see what the differences are with the story. Even though I didn't play the original, I'm pretty familiar with it. And so, at the end of remake, we won't spoil it here, but there was kind of an indication that things are different. This is not the same thing. So really excited, to see what they changed and what that leaves for the third game, because this is supposed to be the middle entry to a 3-part trilogy.
Yeah.
And so what does that mean for the third game going forward? Where do they leave it off at?
Correct.
All that good stuff.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of questions, and that'll be one of those games I just will have to not be on the internet for, because I can't have a single thing spoiled for me about that. So.
Yeah. You gonna take some time off work?
Yeah, for sure.
You should.
Yeah. So, all right, and that is also a boondoggle with pal of the show, Nick.
Oh man. What's his third one? The one I'm about to say, is it Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC?
It's an honorable mention, but it's not.
Okay, all right. Well, Shadow of the Erdtree, the DLC from the Game of the Year, from the Game Awards of 2021.
Two.
Time is fast. Yeah, it's 2024 now. It's crazy. So 2022 Game of the Year, my personal Game of the Year last year. This has been cooking for a while now. FromSoft has a great heritage of producing not only great DLCs, but like exceptional DLCs that introduce some of the hardest bosses that you'll come across in the games. I fully expect this one to be probably their biggest DLC yet, just based on the amount of time they've been working on it, the popularity of Elden Ring as a franchise, the open world nature of Elden Ring. I really kind of expect it to blow us all away again. Like, it's going to have everything we know and love, the awesome different builds, the awesome enemy variety, open world, cool stumbling across things. But, will this be PlayStation 5 only? Will it be even prettier? How long is it truly going to be? I kind of expect a Blood and Wine type of scenario, with The Witcher 3, where it was like a 20, 30-hour DLC. I kind of expect the same thing here. So, although it won't be as big as the base game, it's going to be bigger than probably a lot of different full-fledged games that come out this year. So we, again, don't have a release date for it specifically, but there was rumors that it could come as early as even February. I think that's a little quick, especially with no communication from FromSoft on that, and as busy as February already is, I wouldn't be surprised that they would push it back a little bit. But
so no DEF CON level for Shadow of the Erdtree in information this month?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think... as much as game developers have warmed up to the idea of releasing games in January and February, which they used to never do. I don't think that a lot of places like to talk this time of year. This is the time of year everybody's still recovering from holiday malaise and, getting back in the swing of things, focusing on, I'm going to go work out every day, and then it'll last for 12 days, and then I can get back into being a piece of shit, play video games all day long. So I don't expect...
Well, ask Hi-Fi Rush about that.
It's true. It was a great game. But they didn't talk about Hi-Fi Rush, right?
No,
they just dropped it, and they're like, here it is. No. So that would be wonderful if they did the same thing.
Yeah, it's Elden Ring. They can do whatever they want, really. It doesn't matter that it'll sell, whatever that expansion will sell like crazy. It'll be insanely popular, and it's I'm even kind of curious to see what they show for that. Yeah, just from a monster design and area design and all the things that they do.
Like,
really well.
I mean, I dove into the lore more than I have really with a lot of the previous From Software games, and there's a pretty robust, interesting story, as convoluted as it is, as their nature is, but like you could expand on that. There's areas on that map that are not populated based on the original game. So, are we going to be able to go any of those areas? Is it going to be something entirely different? Lots and lots of questions, but if there's a team I trust, it's FromSoft. They're probably number one in my trust team. So
yeah, and they've had 2 years to work on it. So
yeah,
it's going to be something else and definitely deserving of it.
It's going to be this year's Phantom Liberty.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, and a very sneaky pick for Fantasy League picks because that'll be a 90 and above for sure.
Yeah.
All right, I'm also going to build off my Game of the Year pick from last year, Persona 5 Royal, because all the people that worked on that, director Katsura Hishino, character designer Shingori Sojima, and composer Shoji Meguro, who I also mentioned in my best music category last year, they're all working on a new game in a new studio, Studio Zero. It is called Metaphor ReFantasio. We've talked about it already, that this is a game to look out for because of the talent that's working on it, and just what we've seen so far from the trailers is everything you expect. Style that this team is known for, that this game is going to be huge. It's going to be a big deal, and it's going to be something exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be a sneaky one that I don't think a lot of people are anticipating right now, and then it's going to come out and they're going to be like, that's a weird name. What is this? And then it gets 94s, and you're like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, another one, that's, I think, the theme of these kind of shows, but lots of questions, right? Like, I think in that last trailer, they showed some even parts that looked like it was like not turn-based combat and just actual action combat. So, but then I also saw parts that were turn-based. So, how is it going to be similar to Persona? How is it going to be different? I like that it's a full-fledged fantasy setting.
Yes.
This might be sacrilegious to a lot of people, but I'm happy to ditch the high school kids with the calendar thing, and maybe there might be some aspect of that in here, but not at least as big of a part of the game as it seemed to be in Persona 5. But I thought, I knew that's what you were going to pick, but I thought maybe he's going to go Persona 3 also. You know what I mean? I know that you're a little more kind of trepidatious with that one, but good pick.
Thank you.
All right, and then for my last one, I went with one I knew you wouldn't have on your list, and the more I think about it, the more excited I am for this. We first saw it, I want to say, I don't know what showcase, but some random showcase, probably a Sony State of Play or something, but from Extremely OK Games, the follow-up to Celeste, Earthblade. So this is the team that brought you Celeste and Towerfall, which I like both of those games a lot, especially Celeste. Celeste was a Game of the Year nominee. Comes a Metroidvania, combat-focused, Celeste styling, movement-based kind of game, and like that sounds wonderful to me. I mean, Celeste was great, but you didn't fight at all in that game. It was completely traversal, completely platforming with a really heartfelt narrative behind it about a girl dealing with confidence issues and depression and things like that. So I would expect the team to be able to rope in another strong narrative with an additional, level of combat and movement that they're already so good at. I think you got a recipe for something that's going to be really, really fun. And you got the music by Lena Raine coming back in there. I mean, she's top tier when it comes to composers. I think this is another one that's could surprise people at the end of the year, being the indie game of the year, or possibly even sneaking into that Celestile thing where maybe it gets one of those noms. But I think Extremely OK Games is one of those really, really underrated that when they release something, I'm going to pay attention to. And no specific date again, but 2024 is supposed to drop.
Yes, like Hades 2, it was announced at the Game Awards, that same Game Awards of 2022. Yeah, that infamous one.
I'm thinking I probably should have put Silksong on my list too, but that game's getting a little tired.
Pal of the Show Nick put Silksong on his list, so if it comes out this year, I was
reading reports that people saying it's not, so it's like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, that is another Unity game. What if they decide if they switch, then yeah, that would be definitely add a big change to their development time. So
that's another thing I don't think we talked about Unity in terms of stories.
Oh yeah, no, we forgot about Unity. Yeah,
that was weird.
Yeah. Whoops.
But then I did in true John fashion. I had one more honorable mention, which was Wind Blown, which was that game showed by Motion Twin, makers of Dead Cells, with that really cute trailer that. It's gonna be fun, but
yeah, John is the indie guy.
I am. I don't have time for big budget games, man.
Yeah. Well, so you say, but again, a theme of this year is who had the most playtime in our.
Levi did. Levi had the most playtime.
Wrap up.
Yeah, my 6-year-old son.
All right, John. So that leaves me with my final game. Can you guess it?
Can I? Suicide Squad, obviously. Hold on. Like a Dragon.
It is not Like a Dragon. I am excited for Like a Dragon, but that is a wait for review game.
No, I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Once I say it, you're going to be like, damn it.
I'm sure.
Of course, it's Star Wars Outlaws from Massive and Ubisoft, shown last year at the Ubisoft press conference where we got a CG trailer to give us kind of an idea. You're playing as a smuggler and a cute little pet that helps you
gotta have a cute pet in Star Wars
combat and stealth sequences, and it just oozes Star Wars. It is taking place between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. But the even cooler thing is at the Xbox conference the next day, we got a 15-minute gameplay demo showing off this game.
It's nice.
And whoo boy, does this game look good. Again, shows off stealth sequences, shows off combat, shows off open world speeder bikes, shows off dialogue choices with actual consequences, like instant consequences. The protagonist could have bribed an Imperial officer and chose not to. That Imperial officer immediately put a wanted bounty on her head, and she had to get off the planet quick. She gets in her spaceship. You fly the spaceship off the planet, and then you're instantly in orbit, which is something Starfield isn't doing. So if this game does do that, if there's no kind of tricks there,
No Man's Sky and Outer Wilds are the only two games I can think of that do that.
Outer Wilds did?
Yeah, in a much smaller scale where you're like on a planet, you go, but like you're in a solar system with 4 places.
You do what?
You go.
That and because of that 15-minute demo, this game looks, primed to release in 2024. I expect it's going to hit. I believe even there was an article today about the Disney parks talking about it, that it's this big, exciting game coming out in 2024. So I'm ready, man.
Nice.
All three of my picks are just like, I probably day one, all three of them.
Yeah, well, that's good, man. I mean, because making this list, I will say it's had a different bit of a feel than it did doing it for last year, where it's like, oh, we got Spider-Man and we got all these amazing games coming out. But like this year was kind of like, all right, well, this is early access and this is a DLC, and we don't have a ton of dated things, so it's good. It's good that you got a couple that you're absolutely jonesing for.
Yeah. So let's move on into our 2024 predictions. Speaking of, we have this kind of shadow of war over most of the year. I think fall is taken up by what?
Fog of War. Shadow of War is a game from
Fog of War. Sorry, thank you. We have kind of, it's Wolong, it's Space Marine 2. I can't think of any other games that has set a flag.
It's Wukong.
Wukong, thank you. I know video games.
I know you do. I know. Wolong and Wukong is too close. It's another Outer Wilds, Outer Worlds scenario.
That it is really hard to say what's going to happen this year.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that this year is going to be pretty wild, and my predictions are definitely going in the wilder camp.
Well, and you taught me something last year, Nick, with the fantasy league. You taught me that it does pay to wait.
Yeah.
Because this is a different business than it was 5 years ago. We went into the fantasy league, which for those who don't know what it is, we pick games based on the Open Critic score. We get points for it, right? It's pretty easy. And we have a league with 8 people, and 7 of us all had our games filled out by March. And then Nick's over here with 3 games. He's just like, I'm going to wait. And then he ends up picking up Super Mario Wonder and Talos Principle 2 and Cocoon. And so, there is definitely more meat on that bone than we see right now. I would agree. But you've taught me to believe, a little bit.
Yeah, like I said, we really don't know from, and maybe our predictions will touch it, from especially Sony and Nintendo. After March is we don't know. And then, we know a lot about Xbox, but we don't know release dates. We only have Hellblade as their only first-party release so far. But let's go into our predictions. And I wonder if we'll get some boondoggles here.
Maybe. You start, though.
I am going to start. My first prediction involves the PlayStation 5 Pro. It is, in fact, true.
It's a boondoggle.
Oh, boy. Well, we'll see how yours differ from mine because and we'll kind of score things. And just to reference, last year, me and John tied with both half points.
So good.
I got
nobody's good at these, all right?
I got part of my Spider-Man 2 prediction right, and he got The Last of Us show winning Best Adaptation. So, but everything, we were insanely wrong on everything else. So,
yeah.
But this is what I'm going to say about the PlayStation 5 Pro. It is diskless. It is $600. It is a 2 terabyte drive. It will launch November of 2024. One Sony first-party game to launch around it will take advantage of it. Other first-party titles, Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, will be updated as well to take advantage of it. It will focus on 4K 60. There will be no mention of 8K at all. It'll just say, hey, you want your games to run the best and look the best with the best frame rates? You want ray tracing on? You want this console.
It's pretty much the same.
Oh, no.
I mean, I will say there's one difference. So I said PS5 Pro is announced. And one thing about this is Tom Henderson, right? He is the guy who was talking about the slim and the detachable disk drive and all that stuff. He also has talked about this.
Yes,
so it gives me a lot of confidence there.
Correct.
I have ready for the holidays. So, November. That's pretty close. I don't have a specific thing. It's aiming for 4K 60 on everything. 2 terabyte storage. The only difference is I have, I think Sony is going to want to stay away from $599 because of the PS3 reveal. I'm going to say $649. Inflation's up. I think they're going to position it as a niche product. I'm just going to go with $649.
Okay.
For a price point.
Okay.
Seems high, I know. But and they made this point on Sacred Symbols, which I was like, yeah, what the fuck? Is people are fine spending $1,300 on a graphics card. This is one piece of the component. So why do we all freak out when consoles are a little bit of money? And this is not for, there's still a regular model if you want it. But give me a reason. I'm fine with you putting a price on it like that if it's worth it. So
sure.
I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, and I say November because we saw last year PlayStation Portal November.
Yeah, November's
earbuds November. That all seems to make sense. So you did you mention anything about first party games taking advantage of it?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so that's a little bit of a difference.
Do you have any which development team
No.
you're thinking
No.
Uncharted, remake or not remake?
I mean, it's all up in the you said. It could be Ghost of Tsushima 2. It could be
I'm just
Uncharted,
trying to get you to say something so
Uncharted
I can deduct
5.
points from you.
So what are our only differences are the date.
The date and the price.
Date and the price.
I say holiday, you say November. So if it comes out in...
Okay, I'll give you that. If it's December or October, you get it. And then obviously the price will go from there.
Sure.
Okay.
Love it.
Wow, so all right.
All right.
So let's quickly talk about it very briefly. John, you have the very nice TV. You have a giant OLED television, top brand, very pricey television. That is this based on your prediction? If what you say is true, are you in?
I think so. I've never bought. I mean, pro consoles haven't been around for a long period of time at all. Obviously, there's only been the PS4 Pro. I wasn't even interested in that one when it came out. I just kind of thought, like, whatever. Like, I'm good. With the way that PS5s are holding their value, and having this podcast and just being so busy with my life with my kids, and the gaming is my one way to disconnect. I think if I can sell my PlayStation 5 for like $300, which I would be surprised if they weren't still at least that when it comes out, I can save up for one of these. And I've become more of a 60 frames per second guy as this generation's gone on. I used to not really care at all.
Right.
But, after seeing Spider-Man running at 90 frames or whatever the hell it is, because again, my TV, it's uncapped, right? It's VRR enabled and all that stuff. It's real nice to have. So I might position it as a Christmas present for myself.
Okay. Well, again, our prediction is discless. So you are gonna so you would have to spend more. You're probably looking, if you're at your $650 price, and I think $80 is for the disc drive attachment.
Yeah.
I mean, now you're getting into $800.
Yeah, who cares? I mean, if I were to set aside the money to get it, I would be fine setting aside another $80. Like, it would suck, but I'm such a movie guy too. Like, I love my 4K movie collection. I can't not have. It's either I get that, or I get the really super nice, and I've been eyeing one of these too, the really super nice Panasonic 4K Blu-ray disc players, which people say is like actually way better than a PlayStation 5 is at playing 4K. So maybe I subtract the 80 from that, throw it towards that, but that thing's $400 in and of itself.
Right.
So it's I don't know. I don't have that kind of money to be throwing around, but one can dream.
Sure. Yeah, again, it all depends on the price, what we get for our consoles. In my situation, if I upgrade my TV, then I would certainly consider this, as we.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, that is an interesting question because, I would say that the movies are the biggest reason I have a disc PS5, but I do like physical editions too. And would I be willing to just take the plunge, go digital? It would hurt because I like borrowing games from you and other people, and will, as we'll talk about later.
Right.
So I don't know. I'd probably just get the disc drive now that I think about it a little. And the charging station and the remote control, because I have no self-control.
Yeah. And when I'm just looking into the future, right? Like, we know Grand Theft Auto 5 is 6 is coming. That we want a beefy console, and
yeah, dude. I mean, there's a possibility that game is so intensive that they have to bump it to 30. Like, it's possible,
right? Yeah,
and
that's true.
And that would be not real shitty, because it's the way I'm sure that they would animate it. It would look fine, but when you see people playing 4K 60 at it, with as gorgeous as that game's going to look.
If Sony has any smart, any intelligence.
I think they have some smart.
Yeah, they have some smart that they would co-market, how Grand Theft Auto 6 would run on this thing. That would be a slam fucking dunk.
Well, dude, I mean, it's like, it will create a really interesting dynamic, right? Because assuming that, Xbox has said that they are not doing a pro console. That basically the Series X is the pro version and the Series S is the regular version. That's kind of what they've said.
Right.
So at this point, when if a PS5 Pro exists, what are developers aiming for, right? There's going to be a PS5 Pro version, a PS5 version, Xbox Series S version. Is it really going to start to even create a bigger divide with what these consoles can do? And with the Grand Theft Auto 5 not releasing on PC initially, the game's going to sell like fucking crazy on console.
Keep saying 5, but it's 6.
Sorry. Grand Theft Auto 6. It's not coming to PC day and date. It's going to sell bananas on consoles day one. PlayStation 5 already has such a lead. If they can figure out a way to market it with the console, oh my God, like it's game over for Xbox with that game at least. But
yeah, it'll definitely just be the preferred place to play at that time until it comes to PC. So that would be incredible. So we'll see. I mean, Xbox will have a redesigned Xbox Series X by that time, according to the leaked documents from
that cylinder.
Project Brooklyn. So they might have a hardware refresh. But yeah, this thing could be wild. But all right, we'll find out. That is going to be huge. That announcement.
Well, you want to go again since we basically had that
All
one
right.
too?
Yes. All right. So we saw in 2024 or 2023 that acquisitions were a big thing. We saw Microsoft gobble up Activision Blizzard. It's time for Sony to jab back. And this was rumored years ago, especially when this company started selling off Crystal Dynamics, IO Interactive, Square Enix Montreal, and Eidos Montreal, that the rumors were hot that Sony was going to acquire them, that they were going to gobble them up. And, things always change, so this may not be true at all, but I'm going to say that it is true. And now that Activision Blizzard is part of Microsoft, that, Sony is looking to make a big acquisition of their own, and they've always been a very good partner. Obviously, a lot of games are exclusive, including Final Fantasy Rebirth, Forspoken, a lot of JRPGs, Final Fantasy 16, that it's time to just put a ring on it and be done with it. And
I know who you're talking about, but you also haven't said who it is yet.
I said Square Enix.
You did? I don't think you did.
Yeah, well, when I said when I mentioned selling off companies, I mentioned Square Enix Montreal. So,
Sure.
So it is Square Enix. So that is my second prediction.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been where there's smoke, there's fire kind of guy.
Yeah.
And with the amount of that people were talking about this, it could have just been a wishful thinking type thing. Well, what makes sense for Sony to buy now that Activision is getting gobbled up? But yeah, I mean, Sony has a long history with these guys, and it's definitely Sony PlayStation is definitely the place to play Japanese games. Square Enix is a very, very Japanese centric company, so I think it makes total sense. I don't know if it's still going to happen though. Because what I think Sony is a little concerned right now with purchasing another large scale team because of what's going on with Bungie right now. It just seems like it's very, very not that they got a turd, but like it seems like they purchased a team that wasn't quite what they thought it was. They're having to go in and potentially put their board into the Bungie's board to try and save what's going on over there. There's all sorts of weird nebulous things happening at Bungie. So I don't know. I think it is important that Sony continues to, make moves and whatnot, but they're still so dominant in the space that, like, do they need to buy a publisher? No. But, like, is this the game we're playing?
Right.
And that's what would propel them to purchase it. But Square Enix would be the one, though. That would be definitely the one that they would go for.
Yeah. And like I said, this was, and it was Jeff Grubb and Greg Miller who, I think it was 2021, started talking about it. And I don't remember the initial announcement of the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, but it seemed to be a few months later, if I remember. And that kind of, you can't, obviously Sony during that time can't be like, Microsoft, you can have them, but we're also buying another giant publisher.
Don't look over here.
Yeah. So now that dust has settled, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because Japanese developers, they don't really like to be purchased. They do a lot of mergers, right? Koei Tecmo, Square Enix, Bandai Namco. It would be interesting.
Yeah. It would be a big deal.
Well, yeah, and then you look at another reason this makes sense is you look at all the Square Enix games that have been released in the past couple of years. They said Final Fantasy VII Remake was coming to Xbox. Never happened. Rebirth is only coming to PlayStation again. Final Fantasy 16 only came to PlayStation. There's just a lot of examples of Square just kind of not even worrying about Microsoft. So you're only putting their games on there anyway. Yeah,
and to be fair, that Secrets of Mana game, or Visions of Mana?
That's the new one, Visions.
Yeah, is coming to Xbox as well. So there's not 100% going
like
to the
Octopath only came to Xbox and Switch. It didn't come to PlayStation. Like there's some weird ones in there, but
yeah,
good one.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see.
All right, for my number 2, the Switch 2 is real.
Okay.
And it will be out this fall.
It's the boondoggle.
It's the boondoggle. Alongside Metroid Prime 4 and a brand new 3D Super Mario game.
Ah.
It will be $399. It will be released this fall. I don't really have anything else. It's gonna be released this fall, coming with those two games, $399 price point.
Okay, 3D Mario and Metroid Prime.
Yep.
All right, mine is different. Okay. I also have a Nintendo Switch successor coming this spring after Princess Peach Showtime releases. It will be backwards compatible and launch with Mario Kart 9. Now, people are saying a 3D Mario. That seems to be the going rumor because Super Mario Odyssey is a few years old. I think it was the same year as Breath of the Wild.
7 years old. 7 years old at this point.
Yeah, but I think with Super Mario Wonder existing, with a Donkey Kong vs. Mario game coming this year, and a Paper Mario remaster coming this year, we're a little bit Mario'd out for full-fledged sequels. But Mario Kart 9 or Mario Kart 8 is also 9 years old, so it's time for a new Mario Kart, and it's the best-selling Switch game. So I think if you want to get people to buy into whatever your Switch 2 or Super Switch or whatever it is, I think you go with Mario Kart.
It's very good package to be a launch alongside it. Yeah, like you said, Mario Kart cannot be understated how big that game is. It's fucking massive. I don't personally like it, but like I don't know, probably got 60 million sold on the Switch. Yeah, I could see that, but I would push back a little bit that I think although there is a ton of Mario, there's always been a ton of Mario. It is the most important franchise there, and a 3D Mario is a much different experience than a side-scrolling one. So, it might not be this year, but I think we're still 1 to 2 years away from a 3D Mario. You got to keep those going. Galaxy is so good. Odyssey, I'm playing through Odyssey actually with Levi right now. He it's great. He loves it, hunting those moons down. But either way, any of those three games, it'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, Metroid Prime 4 is so niche that it would need another game. Like I think, you can't just say Metroid Prime 4.
No, it's got to be one of the big boys. I mean, not gonna be Zelda, obviously. Mario Kart. You got Mario Kart, Smash, not gonna be Smash. What else you got really? I mean, there's a ton of. Don't get me wrong. There's a ton of Nintendo, but like
Animal
those
Crossing is another would be a big one.
Yeah, that game.
It's not our jam, but it is a big seller.
It's 50 million people's jam. All right.
So going back to this now is this Switch successor is announced. $400 is John in for this?
Oh yeah, John's getting one. Yeah, I have 2 Switches. I'll just sell them. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep up to date.
Okay.
Like PlayStation is my home. PlayStation is where I love to play. If there's anywhere, if I had to choose, it would be there. But I really dig the Switch. I mean, it's provided a lot of fun experiences. I'm really into Tears of the Kingdom right now, and I'm sure it's going to not just be another Switch, but better. Like Nintendo doesn't do. Like, they fucking create crazy things, right? Nobody would have expected the Wii. Nobody would have expected the Wii U. Nobody would have expected the Switch. So, like, is it a Switch 2? Is it something different? Is it a Super Switch? What does it do differently? Like, I would imagine there's going to be some sort of thing where it goes, I want to try that. Right. I want to see what that's all about. So,
but we're sold that it's the same design. It is a handheld.
I think they cemented themselves in that space. Yeah. The Switch is too wildly successful. It's probably going to break PS2's record. Yeah. So, probably got to be. And it's got to be backwards compatible. I don't know how else you would do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be horrible.
Do you have a price point? Did you say a price point?
No, I didn't, but it's $400. There's no they hit that price point every time.
Okay.
So they're going to do the same thing, and again, it won't match PS5 or Xbox Series X, but it won't even be close, but it'll be a marked improvement.
Is there a possibility that they have multiple SKUs? I mean, they released the Switch that's one thing, right? So, like, do they?
No, not for launch.
Okay.
They're so smart.
They know that they don't drop prices of anything. People flock to them, and Nintendo's in a whole nother league, man. They really are.
Yeah, they're their own brand. They're Kleenex. They're Coke. They're as far as video games go, they're just Nintendo.
Oh, you're playing your Nintendo over there, huh? No, Grandma. No.
It's a PlayStation.
It's a computer.
So yeah. Cool. All right. So at least we got enough difference there. But boy, we're both heavy on hardware.
Same wavelength. So is that all 3 for you, or are you?
Yeah, I am done now.
Okay, what was your third one? It was the PS5 Pro, Switch 2, and what?
The acquisition of Square Enix.
Acquisition, okay. All right, for my last one, going away from kind of the bigger picture things, we're going to bring it down into some games, but I'm going to say that remakes continue nice and strong. You know, we had a really strong year with Resident Evil 4, Dead Space of last year. You know, there's a lot of going back to the well with things, and I think we're going to get 2 big ones, all right? I'm going to say that Capcom is going to give Devil May Cry the Resident Evil treatment and remake the first Devil May Cry game.
Okay.
You know, I don't know, does this lead to them doing the other ones? 2 is a bona fide stinker, but everybody loves 3. I don't know. But I think with the Resident Evil franchise kind of, you know, they're starting to ask questions like, do you want us to do 0? Do you want us to do Code Veronica? Do you want us to do 5? Like, I think that they're not going to stop Resident Evil, but I could see them going, we're going to pause on that for a second, work on 9, but we can get our remake team to try and build Devil May Cry, because it is kind of a small game when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
It's like 20 stages. You know, it might not even be a full priced game. It could be a Resident Evil 3 $50 product, but I think Capcom has seen too much success with their remakes, their critically and commercially, that they might start to now explore their other franchise. And Devil May Cry, I think, is a good one to start with.
Yeah, that is probably the longest dormant franchise of their 3D franchises in a while. We haven't since Devil May Cry 5. It's been a minute. So.
It's been a minute, yeah. And you know, I loved that first one. I mean, when I got my PS2 on Christmas Day, I also got Devil May Cry, so I remember playing that one very fondly. So I think that would be dope. But and then I'm going to throw another one out there just for the sake of having a little bit varied, you know, more things that I can try and get half points on. BioShock Remake is going to come out this year, or it's not going to come out. It's going to get announced this year. I don't know if that's going to be made by. Who fucking owns that? 2K? I don't
yeah,
even.
It's 2K.
You know, is it gonna be 2K? Could that be a property that Blue Point could get behind? Maybe. I don't know. But again, I think that when you have games of this caliber, this magnitude, you know, they're gonna get remade at some point. You know, just the question is when. I think studios realize that it's little less intensive. We don't have to, you know, build assets from the ground up, you know, and with as long as game development takes now, I could see, you know, I don't think these are going to slow down. So Devil May Cry and BioShock remakes will get announced this year.
Yeah, that is a very good avenue to go down. I don't think there is any other outside of Metal Gear Solid Delta.
Yeah.
Is there any other remakes in the wind right now?
I mean, you know, there's those rumors swirling around about Metal Gear Solid 1 remake.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you got the 1,000-Year Door coming out soon.
Yeah.
But that's been announced.
And
so, yeah, I mean, we're kind of getting
Luigi's
to
Mansion 2 is another one for Nintendo.
Yeah, but, like, we're getting kind of to that point where it's, like, the pinnacle of gaming from, like, 2000 to 2015 has kind of been, like, remade a little bit. There's some exceptions, like Knights of the Old Republic, you know, Mass Effect.
There were those rumors of Final Fantasy X that you were getting all hot and bothered.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's still a lot, but, like, you know, the Arkham games maybe, but when it comes to the big boys that I don't, you know, they had the remaster that came out a couple years back, but I think BioShock could be primed for a really crispy Unreal 5 looking, next gen looking thing. Rapture would look unreal nowadays. So, yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah. All right. So that's it. That's our predictions. Do you have any other outlooks on 2024? They don't have to be like predictions or anything like that. Like, will VR2 be strong this year? Do you have anything that just off the top of your head that you're like,
no,
Microsoft's going to do this?
I mean, I think we will see a continuation of just incredibly long development times. Unfortunately, I could see layoffs continuing. I mean, there's, you know, the story that Insomniac is positioned to lay more people off because I guess it didn't sell well enough. I don't quite know, even though it was the most fastest selling game ever.
I think that story's a little overblown. That, you know, it'll probably be like contractors, you know,
sure.
Like the lead up to the crunch of Spider-Man 2 is over. Let's lay off, you know, the people, you know, now that the game's out, you know, back to a small team, and then, you know, when production ramps up, there are rumored games, you know, Wolverine and so forth that, you know, they'll staff up again. But
sure, I could see that. But, you know, I mean, I think there's also some communication that Bungie, once the final shape comes out, they're going to have to lay off more people. I think there's just a reckoning. I've been beating this drum for a little bit now, but a reckoning kind of brewing with the cost of development, the cost of games, and just the whole finances of everything. So I kind of expect that to continue to be in flux.
Sure.
That's the only thing off the top of my head I think I can think of.
Sure. Yeah, I think, especially coming to Sony is like a heavy reliance, as we already know of, on second party and third party exclusives. We already have this year is probably going to be Silent Hill 2, Helldivers, Final Fantasy Rebirth, Rise of Ronin, and that'll be Sony's kind of strategy right now until another first party game comes out this year, which I do think, as I mentioned in my PlayStation 5 Pro prediction. But I think from a first party standpoint, outside of VR will probably get another first party game, and the PlayStation 5 proper will get another first party game. But
do you think it would be Concord or Fair Games?
I don't know.
Yeah.
We didn't see enough of them last year to make me confidently.
They have
think
Concord listed as 2024, but
then that game's got to be shown.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wasn't brave enough to predict a PlayStation showcase. I feel like,
well, there's one for sure coming.
For sure. I just want to. I don't want to think about it. I just want to be surprised when it happens and it's good and everybody smiles and we know what Blue Point and Sucker Punch and Naughty Dog and all those guys are doing.
Yeah, and man, any showcase from any of these publishers announced that'll be a huge deal because again, there's a lot of the fog of war to fill in, So
yes,
but I think you're right. Layoffs will be a trend again. Do you think this year has a chance to be as big as last year?
From a game point?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I am in the camp that I would probably say last year was the best year ever for video games. Like on a critical standpoint, like, it's hard to compare games that came out in 1998 compared to now or whatever the year you pick is, but I don't know, man. Last year was a fucking whirlwind of 90s, just left, right, and center. Whether it was the ones we expected or the ones we didn't. So, I mean, it's, there's no Zelda coming out this year. Maybe a Mario. Metaphor has a chance to be a Persona 5-esque game, but I don't know. No, I don't. I think this will be a moderate to middling kind of year.
Okay. I think it has a chance. If a 3D Mario's coming, it has a chance because then Nintendo's pretty much hitting the same beats as last year. And again, if Sony has one good first-party title, if Hellblade: Senua's Saga is really good, and again, Star Wars Outlaws hits, and
you need that
Final Fantasy
Baldur's
Rebirth
Gate
hits.
3. Like Baldur's Gate 3, I think was what tipped the scales. Like before that, it was like this is a really, really good year, and then that thing hit, and it was just like, is this one of the best RPGs that's ever been made? Yeah, it is. Oh, okay, so you add that on top of what was already existing. Resident Evil, Dead Space, yes, last year was crazy. So I don't know. I mean,
we'll see.
I'm a inherent pessimist.
Right. But again, as we said, a lot of titles we just didn't know about, including Baldur's Gate 3, that would just take over. So the year still has that possibility. All right, let's move on. John, I'll let you take it away.
Sure. So I have a new best friend. His name is Will.
He bought your love.
Yeah, he's my homie, dude. So over break, Will is, as I mentioned, he is a high school friend of mine. I've known him for a long, long time, and he just kind of mentioned that, like, hey,
you guys pick strawberries together?
I don't know any of the quotes from that. Damn it! I wish I could have rattled some of those off. Last of Us episode with the strawberries, but no, he mentioned like, hey, were you wanting to borrow any games? Because he sent me a picture of his entire physical library. I showed you, and we were like, oh my God, you have Fort Solace? Who has Fort Solace? And, and so he mentioned, do you want to borrow anything? And I was like, well, I mean, Valhalla has been something I wanted to check out. So he's like, all right, cool. Like, I want to take a break from video games. You can borrow Valhalla and Sifu. I'm like, sweet. That's great. I've already have a bunch of games to play, but, I won't turn down checking stuff out. And I'm getting ready. He's like, I'm going to go see my other friend. I'll drop off some stuff. And he's like, oh, I also brought my Portal. I'm
Oh shit!
You did what? you brought your portal. So he was very nice and kind enough to bring his portal along and let me check it out for a few weeks, or whenever he decides to knock on my door and take it back, or also will let me know. I'll bring it to you. You know, you're doing me this kindness, so I can give you a kindness back. But yeah, it allowed me to check this thing out in my home network environment, which is obviously a big piece of the puzzle when it comes to this piece of tech. And I'm happy to report, dude, it is as good as everybody is saying it is. Just to lay it out right now, my current setup is it's neither directly plugged into my router or Wi-Fi. I have a mesh network at my house, and so what I decided to do was to just plug it directly into one of those access points. Okay. And it gave me, after doing a network test, it gave me about 90 up, or I'm sorry, 90 down, like 30 up. So I was like, okay, that's pretty good. Like, that's at least a good testing point. And yeah, it gave me really consistent frames and didn't really felt like I was playing right off the TV. I will say, like, there seems to be a little bit of caveat here, and I haven't actually tested it per se, but I noticed when like my family was using the internet in an intensive way, whether it's streaming Netflix or something like that, it seemed to be a lot harder to get that steady connection. But you know, if they weren't doing any of that, like I was playing some God of War Valhalla last night on it, and like, yeah, it's pretty, it feels, it's almost trippy in this sense, because like I'm holding it in my bed, I'm holding a DualSense, right? Like first and foremost, it feels great. The feel is really, really good. But like I almost had this thing where it's like, okay, what buttons like do I press? I was like, oh wait, no, it is just a DualSense, and like you start to kind of just forget about the fact that you're playing handheld. You're like, oh no, I'm playing God of War right now, which is a really, really cool feeling. I will say after about 45 minutes to an hour and my hands getting a little sweaty, I'm a sweaty hands guy. It did start to become a little hard to hold. It is a light device. It's a really well-built device, but just based on like keeping it elevated, not letting it slip through my hands and keeping my hands where I needed to, it did start to get a little bit tiresome. So I don't know if it would be something that I would be, looking to just separate entirely and like, I'm just going to play here today. Like I still would prefer my PlayStation with my TV and everything, but really good feel, really good connection. The connectivity itself was very simple and easy. Will and I both were like, I don't know how to disconnect from mine, and you kind of just basically turn it on and it recognizes the network. Once it recognizes the network, it recognizes your PlayStation. Right. Bingo bango, loads in. Biggest drawback, I think, is what everybody kind of expects. It's bullshit that this thing doesn't have Bluetooth. Like I would much rather pay $249 for a device that has Bluetooth or something like that, because it sucks to use wired headphones. It sucks to turn the speakers up. Although the speakers do get really loud, they are nice. I just would rather have the setup, right? Like I just want to be connected with my headphones. So maybe down the road, maybe there will be like a pro model. I think this thing is selling way better than maybe even Sony thought they would. Maybe there's a pro model with an OLED screen and Bluetooth capabilities in the future. But I know we had some write-ins about this thing too.
Yes,
so
we did.
Yeah, if you want to get to those, or we can kind of bounce off those a little bit.
All right. Well, let's start with Will, who graciously provided it to you. And again, these are some lengthy impressions, but we'll read it off and see if this matches with what you think, John. Mm-hmm. All right. From Will, we got Happy Holidays, boys. Just wanted to take a couple minutes to discuss the PlayStation Portal, since Nick mentioned it in the last episode that he would like to hear about my thoughts on it so far. As we approach release day, I was honestly thinking about canceling my order or seeing if John wanted it. He did. Since I already have a Steam Deck, which I love, with Remote Play, and I never use it. Remote Play on the deck works well enough, but it wasn't anything I felt compelled to do. Boy, am I glad I kept the Portal. This thing is an absolute joy to play. It is infinitely more comfortable than the Steam Deck, and having a fully functional DualSense as the controller makes a world of difference. The screen, while only 1080, is honestly beautiful and a big improvement over the Steam Deck Classic. So far, I've only been using it to play games while in our TV-less living room and in bed, and it's perfect for that use case. I've gone back to Platinum older games, which I never bothered to do before, and even got the Platinum bug now.
Uh-oh.
24 platinums. You gotta beat it.
You can beat Jake.
I also played through Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut all the way through on the device and loved the experience. I found no noticeable lag or trouble with parries when the connection is good. That being said, I have had times that the connection seemed to drop for for no reason, but it usually bounces back to normal in about a minute. I don't even have my PS5 hardwired. All this is to say I love this device, and it has added a lot to my PlayStation experience over the last couple of months. I'd also like to mention that I compared it a lot to the Steam Deck in my email, but I only meant to compare them as remote play machines. The Steam Deck is an incredible device that serves as a completely different function for me. Happy holidays.
Nice. That sounds pretty matched up.
Yeah. To play through all of Ghost of Tsushima on it, that's incredible. Like to get that kind of experience in a handheld
With a game that relies on parries.
right,
Yeah.
right. But to get that level of game in your hand, and I know the Steam Deck does the same thing, but
Well, $600 versus $200.
right.
That's kind of that was like, yeah. I mean, playing through this, I was like, $199 is a steal. I
Right.
feel like for this.
Yeah, after playing it,
Yeah, yeah.
because at first it didn't seem like that, but I think you're right that this is for its use case is very nice. All right, and that leaves us with pal of the show Mark, who also wrote in. He sneakily bought a PlayStation Portal. He said, "Hey guys, just wanted to share some thoughts about my new PlayStation Portal I bought last week." Where'd you get it, Mark?
Yes. Yeah. What? Yeah. What?
The build quality is awesome. It's essentially a DualSense controller with a screen in the middle. The screen is very high quality too. The only weird quirk about the layout is the lack of a touchpad. There are two distinct regions on the touchscreen you could double tap instead to mimic pressing the touchpad. My PS5 is set up with wired Ethernet, and I have a good upload and download speed, so the experience might be different on a Wi-Fi setup, but in my experience, there is very little input lag. Since the Portal mirrors what is happening on your PS5, I actually turned on the TV to compare my TV with the Portal in real time. It was very close. I'm playing Sea of Stars on it, which requires precise timing for attacking and defending, and I'm having no trouble timing my hits. I also played some Final Fantasy 16 on it, and graphical quality was superb. The sound output isn't bad. It can get pretty loud, and the quality is decent. It is unfortunate that you can't pair regular Bluetooth headphones with the Portal or even the Pulse 3D headset. A side note, Sony's 3D Elite Pulse headset will work with the Portal coming this February. So if you want to spend $150 on another headset.
Okay.
A workaround for this is you can mute the Portal and use the Pulse 3D headset with your PS5 as long as you're in range. It'll feel just like you're connected to the Portal. All in all, I'm very satisfied with my purchase. I'm going to use this thing a lot for all kinds of games.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, that is the impression that I hear from everybody. Like every single person who realized that the use case is for them walks away really happy. I feel like.
Yeah.
Does any of this change your want of it?
No. So in my setup, I have a dedicated office/gaming room, and it's right across from my bedroom. So if I'm just playing a game, I'm just going to that room.
Yeah.
That room doesn't serve any other use then. And then it's my man cave.
Yeah. I was hoping that it could have connected to the Wi-Fi here at work, so I could check out that. Yeah. I want to kind of just see the different benchmarks. But
hotspot it to your phone.
Maybe we'll do that after the show. Give it a shot.
Yeah. I
mean, I think I read a report somebody saying they did that on the bus. It was like, it works great, which I don't believe, but maybe we'll see. But yeah, it's as soon as I can find one in the wild, I do plan on getting one. I even bought myself a little extra access point for my mesh network to go upstairs in my part of my house, so I get a better connection up there. Plus, I got Levi a computer, so it'll just help with his too. But it's I got to give PlayStation some credit for this one. It was kind of a device that everybody was down on when it first got announced, and people were kind of upset that you couldn't play games natively on there. But to hit that price point with the quality that it is I think a very, very nice product. Yeah. And I would encourage anybody who, again, has that use case to get one.
Did you only try it with Valhalla?
No. So I first loaded in Neon White because I thought that'd be a good test. And then, but that was one of the times that other people were using Wi-Fi, and so it was real choppy. I was like, this is horrible.
Yeah,
but it soon wrinkled that out. But I played a little bit of Sifu, Valhalla, and Astral Ascent.
Okay.
But yeah, it's all gravy, baby. It's all good.
Now, so we got your review,
Sure.
But what did your son think of it?
Because it's not mine.
Oh.
I felt Well, he held it, of course, but he's like, oh, I can play Neon White anywhere. I was like, whoa, like I don't want you to just, I'm going through that era of like, you can't eat Takis and play with my controller.
Right.
Like you can't do that kind of stuff. And he doesn't. Yeah. He's like, oh, I wipe my hands, and it's like his fingers are still just blue. It's just like no. So he thinks it's cool, but I don't really want him to.
Sure. That's very
to fuck it up for Will, because then I have to buy him one, and they're not available anyway. So
okay. But okay, he's the review that matters. So if he's into it, then it's good.
Kids are into anything shiny that their dads are into.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, as games come out and you use it more. I'll hear how it goes.
Sure.
And I
it'd be perfect for Diablo IV. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
for sure.
Yes, and speaking of Diablo IV, I've been playing.
You like that segue?
Yeah, that's really good. I've been playing it, as I've teased on this show, and just a brief little backstory on Diablo. This is a series that started in 1997. And, of course, it hit critical acclaim with Diablo II in 2000. I actually, in fact, remember my first job in a hardware store. I had an assistant manager. That's all he would talk about, Diablo II. I'm this level with this class, this level with this class. And I'm just like, geez, how do you have the time to play this game so much? And I was a kid.
One of the ultimate time sink games.
Yeah. And Diablo 4 is the next entry in the franchise since Diablo 3 released in 2014. It released on 6/6 of last year. It has an 88 currently on OpenCritic. And what Diablo is essentially is an isometric loot-heavy action RPG set in the world of Sanctuary, which is caught in a war between heaven and hell. You play as a wanderer who gets on an adventure to defeat the daughter of the demon of hatred, Lilith, who has returned. And through the events of the games, you discover her true motives, and you can choose between 5 different playable classes.
She's just trying to get on the right track and right her life. She just wants to be one of the good ones.
Yeah, well, so she says. That's actually a plot of the game.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh. Hire me, Blizzard.
I have completed the game in about 50 hours. I am currently on World Tier 3, so that's kind of their difficulty. It's Tier 1, 2, 3, or Tier 2 to start. You kind of play Tier 2 all the way till you beat the game, and then you unlock a dungeon, which will unlock Tier 3. You play through that till level 70, and then you can unlock Tier 4, and then you can go to 100.
The grind.
Yes.
The grind.
Oh, we'll get into the grind. I am currently playing the game as a Chain Lightning Sorcerer.
Nice.
So the first thing I want to talk about is the gameplay loop. And the gameplay loop is basically you kill mobs of enemies, you face bosses, you level up, you increase that difficulty, that world tier, you collect loot, you try different builds of your class or start a new class. That's kind of it. You're just on an isometric view, and you're always mobbed with enemies, demons, animals, insects, the undead, just nonstop. They're just mobs and mobs, and they all vary, of course, ranged attack. Some will heal guys, some will resurrect them, but basically it's the same thing. You go into a mob, you use the same series of attacks, and you walk out, and there's a bunch of dead bodies around you. So I will say, initially, I have never been really big into Diablo. I am not big into loot-based games. Even as someone who loves Cyberpunk 2077, picking up a bunch of gear that you cannot use at all, it's just fodder, is not interesting to me. Going to stores and selling off 90% of the shit you get is not fun to me. Doing all the little nitpicking stuff you can do as far as your Paragon level and your character traits, and then your legendary gear has traits, and you can remove that trait and put it on other gear, and just this loop is just not interesting to me. I don't like inventory management. I don't know if you feel the same way.
I mean, I probably a little more new. It's been a while since I've jumped into a game like that. I will say I did love it with Diablo 2 and 3 and Borderlands 2 specifically.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's the me anymore.
No.
Like, it's just from a time standpoint. Like, I don't want to grind to just get the best set of gear.
Correct. Yes, and that is basically the goal here, is to level up and grind out that gear. And this world is massive. There are 5 gigantic regions. Each region has around 50 side quests, 20 dungeons, 30 statues of Lilith, multiple world events, and each has its own world boss.
Yeah, too much.
But what about when you get the portal? Maybe you'll
Yeah.
change your mind.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great for that, but that seems a lot.
And the side quests have been okay. Some lead to interesting places, but a lot of them are like, I need 50 poison glands from scorpions, and you got to grind that out. And a lot of quests are like that, or go to point A to point B, and some will point you to specific dungeons that you'll have to do because there'll be an extra side quest thing in there as well. But it all leads to, making your character better. There's so many stats. Like, you complete a dungeon, you get an aspect, and that might affect how fast you swing your weapon or your specific class. Like, I'm a chain lightning sorcerer, and I beat a dungeon, and it was like every time a chain lightning bounces off of you, you get 2.5 mana back, and there's just like all these numbers, and it's just the game is very overwhelming. And I do recommend, like, try not to like get caught up in I'm gonna fully complete a region. I'm gonna do every dungeon, because not every dungeon applies to your class, or I'm going to do every side quest. It's way too much. Like, there's so much. But everything also builds renown in that region, and renown gets you stuff. It gives you more potions and more skill points, and just, oh my God, it's too much.
Yeah.
That being said, this game is just taken over my life. I have been enjoying the mindless. I go in and I freeze all the enemies around me. I cast chain lightning, and then they explode into fireballs, hurting each other. That loop is just, it's crack.
Oh, it is fun. I mean, even if loot isn't your thing, you're still leveling up and gaining new skills, right? And so that's always fun. We're like, I can do what now? Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
You kind of find those new ways to play.
And that dopamine rush of getting like a legendary gear that like affects your build specifically,
Really nice.
Is a great feeling and just. Yeah, it's. I don't think if another game was out, I would be playing it instead. But I could see this game replacing, Street Fighter 6 or Rocket League, or if you're playing Overwatch or Apex Legends or any of those games. Like, this could be your multiplayer game, because the other thing I wanted to talk about is this is a live service game. Like, you pay $60 for it, brand new, but you are instantly logged into a server queue. And I guess nowadays that doesn't really matter. You're in the game instantly. But it's an online-only game. You cannot pause it.
Really?
Nope, can't pause it at all. You better make sure you're in a very safe region if you hit the pause button,
Oh my
because
God.
you'll get attacked. It has a battle pass, which changes, every few months, and you can only use brand new characters on each battle pass. So you can't even use your favorite character. Once a battle pass ends, this one currently ends on January 23rd, my sorcerer will move over and cannot access whatever the next
legacy character. At
Yep,
that point.
it'll not be able to access whatever the next battle pass is. So if I go into that character and play the game, I'm not building up toward that battle pass, which again, just like Rocket League, has its free stuff, but also all that premium stuff you want to buy. And this game also has microtransactions. John, I want you to guess what a skin in Diablo IV costs. Let's just say the high tier.
Okay, this is one of those things where you're asking me, so therefore it must be ridiculous.
You have to buy their in-game currency, which is platinum.
I'm gonna guess a high tier character costs $40.
That's pretty expensive for a skin.
I know.
I have not seen one that high.
Okay.
Currently, the highest for my character is $25.
Yeah,
for
stupid.
a skin.
Stupid.
Now, again, it is every piece of loot that you can get, including your weapon. But that is insane. That is fucking insane.
Well, and that's a lot of what I've heard about this game is not, since it came out, is not the quality of it. It's not the missions or anything. It's about how there's a lot of icky things surrounding it, whether it's that or whether it's lack of end game support, things like that. So, yeah, that's capitalism for you, bud.
Yeah, so this is definitely in the vein of, that initial Overwatch launch and Destiny is like, it's just, you do pay, well, Destiny before it went free to play. This has all the live service hooks in it. This are, Suicide Squad, games like that. Like this has all of those ugly hooks in it. And of course the game is ripe for it.
Yeah, it makes it. You can't begrudge the developer for trying to, gain extra.
Right.
That's what businesses are in business for.
Right.
But it does feel gross, and I hope that we look back on this era like 20 years from now and be like, well, that was a silly time, wasn't it? But I doubt it.
Yeah, 20 years when every game's online only.
Right. Yeah, when there's 4 games to play, whether it's you want to play Fortnite, Roblox, or
Minecraft.
Apex or something. Yeah, Minecraft.
But the value's still there. Like I said, I'm 50 plus hours into the game. I haven't paid for anything but my initial buy-in of the game. So it's been, my money. I've gotten my money's worth. But like I said, it is pretty gross to just go into that store or just have it mention the battle pass because my current character is leveling up on that battle pass, and 50 hours in, and I'm only like, I think, not even a third of the way through the battle pass, and you're just like, oh, this is so gross. Like these poor people who try to max out these battle passes this game must be consuming all their time.
I'm sure it is, and I'm sure those same people then get to the end of that and go, okay, now what? And then they're like, well, no, that's it. And this game's trash. So it's
they can't win.
So if do you have any ideas or ways that you think Blizzard would be able to reinvigorate the series? Like, with Diablo V is coming out and it's just more of the same, that's got to be disappointing. Like, is there anything you can tell from 50 hours that, like, this would maybe be a better way to do it? Or no? I mean, I don't know if you've thought about that at all.
I don't know. I mean, they do have the expansion confirmed for this year. They're bringing a new class that always seems to be like Lords of Destruction.
Yeah.
Whatever the one that brought the Necromancer. Those seem to always be well received. But as far as the loop, like it's like I don't think you can ever change what works.
Yeah, there's just too many enemies on screen to do anything besides sheer chaos.
Right.
First person Diablo.
And I think you could play this entire game with a friend. So
yeah.
So that social aspect will always be is a great part that I'm just not participating in. But I can review it since I beat it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. It's good. It does what it wants to do well. But again, taking all those caveats I told you, Diablo is not my series. But I do think like the always online sucks, but the grind and the dopamine rush you can get from loot based games, it's all there. I just think I don't know what it takes to get to a level 100, but I'm not gonna get there.
Your soul.
Yeah, exactly. But that being said, if this expansion looks good and is well, and it's a class that I'm interested in playing, I could be holding on to this game for a minute. So
sure. Well, yeah, you gotta wait until I beat all my games so you can give it to me.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
But yeah, it's been occupying my time until we get to this busy.
February.
Yeah. Well, Last of Us Part 2.
Sure.
All right.
I get that for $10. Yes.
All right.
It's
Final
back.
topic.
It's back. It's been what, 3 weeks since we had any battle royales?
That's true. We can announce the winners of the other battle royales. Ellie did eventually beat Leon after 2 different polls tying. In the final poll, she did pull out, so Ellie moves on. And then, of course,
God.
Doom Guy stomped V.
Yeah.
Doom Guy is
I'm
moving
sorry,
on.
V. You drew poorly, man.
But interesting enough, we have another tie, so we'll have to re-release another poll. Sora and Samus Aran will have to be redone. They are a tie again. So
Power of friendship versus a solo soldier. Very nice.
all right.
Okay, and so for this week, we have going head-to-head, iconic mass-murdering clown Sweet Tooth versus the blue blur himself, Sonic, and Rayman versus Jack from Jack and Daxter. Nick, I believe you get to go first.
I do.
Do you have preference on the matchup?
Yeah, as you mentioned, this is probably the weirdest set of characters we've had, I think, in this whole thing. It's weird 4.
Yeah.
So let's go with Jack versus Rayman. Let's just get that out of the way.
Sure.
All right. So Jack is the heir to the throne of Haven City. He's a master of weapons and platforming and is a pillar of the 3 Sony legendary platformers, along with Ratchet and Clank and Sly Cooper. His ace in the hole is his ability to absorb eco-energy, which gives him additional abilities including health absorption, force fields, increased speed and strength, electricity manipulation, energy projection, and transformation into light and dark forms of himself for increased power, aka going Super Saiyan. He can use sci-fi weaponry such as wave concussor, beam reflector, gyro burster, arc wielder, mass inverter, and the supernova, which is a powerful mini nuke. Jack, of course, is not alone when he is fighting anybody. He has his partner, Daxter, who is another set of eyes. And as anyone who's seen Daxter talk, a bunch of quips that can be used to take advantage of and distract our poor Rayman.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. All right. Rayman was created by moonbeams from Batilla the Fairy of the primordial forest, destined from creation to protect the Glade of Dreams from dark forces. That sounds like somebody who could really, really lay the hammer down on a normal-ass elf-looking motherfucker like Jack, all right? Rayman he has the ability to not only punch, but to throw his punches. He stands at 1.6 meters or 5'3", but he can extend those punches well beyond the grasp of that. So he's going to have the ranged ability versus Jack. Rayman's a beefcake, dude. Did you know he set up a trap, lifted a 50,000-pound weight to set up a trap? So like he's not just a measly little 5'3" guy. He can pick up some heavy shit. He's able to regenerate his body at all times. He doesn't even have legs or arms. So like he's just kind of this like more nebulous collection of parts of a body, and to me that sounds like somebody that you can't really kill because he's just going to come right back together. At least in this fight he is, because I said so. He's basically, a combination of many different parts, and that's it, because the timer went. Rayman. I don't know.
You had to put a lot in that intro of his origin.
Yeah, well, Ray, he's a goofball, but I do love Rayman Legends, one of my favorite games.
Yeah, he needs his own Prince of Persia remake.
Yeah,
kind of like the one that's coming, The Lost Crown.
Dude, I would love. That would be a top tier announcement for me. But knowing that that team is doing the Prince of Persia game makes me excited for that one. But
all right,
Sweet Tooth versus Sonic. Nick has Sweet Tooth.
All right, Sweet Tooth is the mascot of the Twisted Metal series and recently starred in the television show on Peacock. He is a serial killer who drives an ice cream truck around in giant car combat battle royales, just like we're in right now. So our current battle royale will be nothing new to this character. He has experience. His ice cream truck is his main arsenal of weapons, including machine guns, missiles, invisibility, napalm, freeze, force fields, and of course exploding ice cream cones. Without his car, though, he is a physical specimen and wields a large machete. Sonic's speed will not be a factor because Sweet Tooth can slow down time enough to see bullets move into slow motion, something also Sonic can do. So hopefully he'll catch Sonic off guard with that. He is an insane serial killer clown who will be too much and too real for the goody, more cartoony Sonic.
Okay. No, not calculator. All right. How can you beat somebody, Nick, in a fight that you aren't even able to see move? All right, he's not only fast. Sure, Sweet Tooth can slow down time so he can see bullets, but Sonic, according to lore, moves faster than the speed of light. All right, that's how fast this guy is. And so if you can't see him, you can't hit him. And it's true. Sweet Tooth is massive and a super heavyweight, but all super heavyweights are always taken down by speed and agility, which there is no faster character in this competition. Sure, if he gets in contact, it would be rough, but there's no chance he gets in contact at all, even if he's in his ice cream truck. You can't shoot missiles faster than him. You can't drive faster than him. You can't touch this guy. Meanwhile, Sonic has the ability to use his homing attack, his spin dash. His spin dash can break through brick walls. I'm sure it can take down Sweet Tooth's truck if it needs be. He does have one weakness, which is water, but I don't think that's a factor in this fight, so we're not even going to consider it. Sonic is of Super Smash Bros. Fame. He has experience fighting many different types of fighters. Sonic wins this one easily. All right.
All right.
So let's get our randomizer going.
Oh, right.
Because we need to determine next week's matchup. Hopefully we don't get another tie, but if we do, no big deal. And Nick, we're down to our final 8.
Oh, boy.
Let me delete some of these guys real quick because I didn't take them off because I'm a joke. All right. All right. Final 8. Going in the randomizer. In PlayStation Pulse fashion, Nick, you want first?
Yep.
All right.
Let's see.
No. Big Daddy and Little Sister.
Okay.
There's your Big Daddy, Little Sister.
So that one you actually call out the...
Yeah, so I don't know if you're Daxter. I'll let it slide, but, you know, we'll let this one. Because, like,
All right.
what's
So, yeah,
up?
speaking of Bioshock.
Yeah. Versus Kazuma Kiryu, the dragon himself. All right, another weird fucking matchup.
And really well timed. I mean, we were between 2 of his games.
Yeah,
Man
true.
Erases His Name and Infinite Wealth. So
That is true. And for the second matchup, Sub-Zero. Nick, you got Sub-Zero, Mortal Kombat fame, versus Astrobot.
Aw.
Don't worry, Astrobot, he'll be fine. He'll figure it out. All right.
Tone could not be more different.
Yeah, that's I guess we saved the weird matchups for the end. You know, this is no Lara Croft versus Nathan Drake. This is some weird stuff, but all right. Well, that's exciting. Then that leaves. So then the week after will be the final 4 of round 1. So you and I got to figure out what we're doing for round 2 here soon.
Yep.
If you have any ideas, write in.
What's that?
I said if you have any ideas,
yes.
write in.
Yes, of course.
You know, I don't think Nick liked my we cosplay as every character and just actually fight. So
It wasn't the worst idea, but maybe not the more plausible one.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we made videos of it, we'd get the most views for sure.
that is true. And I would love to see some of our budget ass cosplays. You as a Big Daddy and your dog as the Little Sister. His dog is a Saint Bernard.
Yeah, so look out. He'd probably be the Big Daddy. I'd be the Little Sister.
Probably, yeah, that would be better.
But all right, so that's it. That's a meaty 5 things. I really hope everyone enjoyed us returning to form because we had a lot to talk about this week. All right, let's get into teases. We have a big tease. That is, John, as he mentioned, he's playing Valhalla.
Yes.
And I, too, plan to be playing Valhalla. I too, have Nemesis of the show, Jake, very much providing me his copy so I can start talking Valhalla. So we'll have a, I don't know, double play, whatever we decide to coin the term, but we'll both be playing it.
Put about 2 hours in last night. The only thing I'll say is it's blowing me away. So, and really, it's the narrative side of things is way stronger than I kind of thought it was going to be. So excited to see more for sure.
Yeah.
But besides that, for me, like I mentioned, Tears of the Kingdom has finally captured my attention. I am on the second large temple now. That's just what I was able to find myself with the holidays and everybody at my house. It was what I was able to play, so I took the plunge, and I'm really into it. But besides that, I have, like I said, Will let me borrow Sifu. I want to check that out before I have to give that back. I have Remnant 2 that I've dabbled in that's really, really fun and cool. Astral Ascent still going, so... it almost seems like I need to bring the wheel back to get myself straight.
Yeah.
But Valhalla is so good, and I think they say it's about 6 hours to see kind of the full package. So I plan on just devouring that.
Yeah. The plan is definitely to get that done before Last of Us Part 2 Remastered comes, and then we have another
roguelike, yay!
Yeah, another roguelike mode to check out. So yeah, that is 100% going to be my focus. I will not be playing anything else unless some free game comes along,
Yeah, I mean, Nobody Saves the World, Plague Tale, Requiem, and what was the third one that dropped today? Damn it. Why did I do this? Stall, Nick.
It was Weird West.
Evil West.
Evil West. Sorry, Weird West is another game. Yeah,
Teamwork.
Evil West. Yeah.
So
And again, A Plague Tale Requiem was one of my Game of the Year nominees for our inaugural year 2022. So please do not seize on that game. That game is a amazing game, and I didn't even have the 60 FPS patch, which I got later. That it's just gorgeous. It's a current gen game through and through. It's amazing. Please check it out.
Yeah.
And show them some love.
I'll try.
Yeah, fit it in.
Time is hard. Do you? Because I was thinking, it's like, it's enough to play one of those. Would you say I should just watch a recap of the first game, or
so
do
hard.
it?
So hard.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, think on it more.
Maybe.
Get back to
maybe. Yeah. Well, in your situation, probably.
Yeah.
Just be easier that way to not have to deal with back-to-back Last of Us type games.
Yeah. Oh, I'm emotionally dead inside, but it's just a time thing.
Yeah. Given you, I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's your best bet.
All right. I'm reading between the lines, I think.
All right. Speaking of The Last of Us Part 2, the song we're going to leave you on is again from that game, from our boy Gustavo Santaolalla. It is called Longing. Again, we're ready to take the plunge. We're going to be back in the world of The Last of Us again. And for sure, a bonus episode is coming. So enjoy the song. Thank you for listening. We're excited for 2024. And we'll be back next week with Up to 6 Things.
Love me like you love my strawberries or whatever.
There you go. Bye.
Bye.